Yeah, when he said that to me, I was like, I made this one face like, huh? What you mean? Like, what you mean? And he was like, because honestly, I thought this would have happened a long time ago. And I was like, I guess. I didn't know what this sounds like. I guess. Huh? He was like, Key, you're actually more strong. You are stronger than you really know. And I was like, I guess I am. And that's when he started pouring those words into me. And so him saying for me to, in order to, get through this process, I need to confront and embrace the issue. I was like, well, what is that? I was kind of thinking like, what does that really mean? And how is that going to help? Like, you know, you can always, go stand in front of something, but embracing it. And I'm like, what, and confronting this thing? Why do I need to do that? I don't want to be bothered with it. But until you do that, guess what? And I write this in the book. It's gonna keep catching up to you, regardless of how you try to run. I don't care what you get on. You can take a bus, plane, car, or a train. It's gonna catch you, and it's gonna mess with you all day, all night. It's gonna be worse than a little kid that you just don't like. Okay. And so I fully understood that because once you embrace it and confront it, you now know how to deal with it. You now know how to handle it. And now you can speak to that thing and say, you can get away from me now, or I can handle you later.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
when that power comes in. Just having control over your life, get control back in your life. It's really what
Yeah.
that does. So,
That's awesome. And I
mm,
appreciate you dropping those nuggets, you
I
and your
try.
uncle, because it's really important. Especially when you're making the transition from being able-bodied
Right.
to disabled or differently abled.
Mhm.
Or even if you've had a disability your entire life or a chronic illness, or you've been through trauma in your life as a child or experienced trauma recently,
Mhm.
something I communicate and I tell like a lot of the people that I do life with is like the temporary sting, the temporary pain of unpacking the trauma, unpacking the mentality behind what you went through, or the loss, the grief that comes with illness and being differently able. That momentary pain is so worth it, because once you get down the line into the future, you now realize like, okay, you begin the process of healing, which
Mhm.
sets yourself up to now live well, not
Mhm.
live to everybody's standards or live normal, because there is no normal, as
Mhm.
my mentor would say, because we're all created uniquely in the image of God. So
Right.
therefore, there is no standard of normal in the kingdom of God. Um, so it
That's
sets you
beautiful.
up to do that and have that perspective and heal and not be bitter. Whereas if you avoid that temporary pain, because it is painful, it takes a lot of energy, psychologically, mentally, spiritually, it takes energy to unpack and deal with your stuff. But if you avoid that process, you set yourself up for the baggage, the
Mhm.
weight, the heaviness, the psychological, emotional, and spiritual ramifications for avoiding that much needed process of lamenting and just being free and starting that healing process.
Come on now. See, you could have easily said you would have set it up for failure, but you broke that thing down. You made people understand what you're really getting set up for. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's what people need. Too many times we try to simplify things, but it doesn't get the full point across.
Hmm.
And that's what people need. People need that detailed version so they can understand what's really happening. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you broke it down like that.
No problem, fam. It just, I think, and I say this probably every podcast episode to when I'm talking to my guests, and that's like, I firmly believe that having chronic illness or having a disability or whatever you face in life, a lot of the times it's very easy to view it for the things that you've lost.
Hmm.
But if you allow God to take that moment of brokenness and to use it for his glory, and to allow him to perform surgery on your heart and your mind, there is really no limit to the wisdom that you can gain, even in the storm. You know, Paul in 2 Corinthians asks God to take away his thorn.
Right.
How many times? Not one, not two, not but three
Mm-hmm.
times. And what did God say to him? He said, "My grace is sufficient for
Mm-hmm.
you." And when I read that, like literally in the first episode of my podcast, I talk about this. There's two
Yeah.
responses that God does when we ask for him to remove something or deliver us from something or heal us. And that's either he will remove it completely
Mm-hmm.
or he will strengthen you in
Yeah.
it and through it.
That
And
is.
that is the journey and the message that I'm really learning to live and using to encourage people. Like, just because things don't turn out the way that we plan, it doesn't mean that God can't use it and strengthen you in it.